What's up, guys? This is Adi with Gate 7 International, tuning in for deep dive number 4. Sorry you guys weren't able to see the Robert Kennedy deep dive, but I did share the statistics with you on social media. It's unfortunate that that transfer didn't work out the way we hoped, but it's for the best, I hope. And we're going to move on to bigger and better things, just like today with Jackson Porozo. Jackson Gabriel Porozo Vernaza is his full name. Ecuadorian international. We're excited to get into him today. And before I move forward with the deep dive, guys, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. We say this every show, every deep dive, every video we do. The engagements help us find more red and white fans, and it helps us continue to grow this already amazing community. So help us in our mission to grow the red and white community and expand it globally. Like and subscribe, leave a comment if you want, and continue to tune in to all of our content as we continue to move forward. Now, guys, this was a transfer that came out of nowhere for the Ecuadorian international Jackson Gabriel Porozo Vernaza, 22-year-old center back, right-footed center back that is, and he's a pretty big boy as well. 6'4", 192 centimeters, 84 kilos, 185 pounds. This is a solid build. This is a big guy. We've brought in a couple of big boys so far in the transfers that we've made so far in the transfer window. Naturally, right-footed. His natural position is going to be right center back. He spent last season at Troyes and Ligue 1. He has caps for his national team. He's played a fair amount of professional football for a 22-year-old. Now, this is the first signing that the fan base has not been overly upset about. The first 3 signings, I saw a lot of complaints about age, slowness, among other things. But this signing, with the profile, his young age, it's got a lot of people hopeful. Now, there were still a handful of people saying oh, his mother doesn't know who he is and that kind of thing. But it was very, very few and far between compared to the previous 3 signings. Assuming the loan option, which to this point has been undisclosed, I am recording past midnight on the 1st of August to get these guys to get this deep dive to you guys. I spent all night watching tape, putting the data together so that this could be ready as soon as he is announced. So assuming that that loan option is affordable and relatively cheap, then this is real talent with real potential on our hands. He is an incredible athlete. Jackson is I mean, when you guys watch him, you're going to understand what I'm saying. Assuming his form is carried over, assuming there's no issues with the medical like there were with Kennedy, what I saw in the film, I saw an incredible athlete. Speed, physicality, intensity that carries through the entire performance, incredible stamina. Very physical defender, unafraid to press and get forward as well. Even when his team has the ball, he's also willing to sprint up the pitch. On counters, I saw him go end to end. I haven't seen a center back do that since I started doing these scouting reports. So, a lot to get through here, guys, because this is a pretty exciting talent to talk about. Now, first and foremost, as we always do with these scouting reports, is we discuss the goal threat. Now, he is a center back, so we are going to temper our expectations with regard to goal threat. But I have to tell you guys, compared to center backs in France, Jackson has excellent goal creation ability, really high volume of shot opportunities with equally high XG and goals per 90 to show. You can see it in the data. That bottom section is going to be the goal creation metrics. And the remarkable thing about this is that you would expect, okay, center back, just like I discussed with Frere, most of these opportunities are coming from set pieces, but they're not. In fact, he had a surprising amount of shots from open play. And I saw him running on to balls, running forward, getting really high up the field. Like I said, running end to end on counters, presenting himself as the option, and then running all the way back to get back on defense. I did expect him to be maybe a little bit better in the air on some of these shot opportunities, but he is relentless when the ball gets to his feet. And in a lot of those situations, I mean, he's doing whatever he can to get that ball and rip a shot off. Animal in the final third in that respect. when it came to assist creation, hi you see the assist value at the very top of the goal creation part is very high. Pretty much 80th percentile almost. But this is vastly performing his expected assists. I don't see this level of production being sustainable or something to expect coming to Olympiacos this season when he's on the field, because I didn't see a lot of volume or a lot of instances where he's playing balls into the penalty area. Sure, he got a couple of opportunities that were capitalized on by his teammates this past season, but I don't think we will see a lot of that. I don't see a lot of passes, like lot of vision downfield for him, or a lot of solid ability to play long field passing. His most of his passing, no matter where on the field he is, it's going to be 5 to 10 meters, usually laterally out to the wings. If he gets the ball, it's because he's pressed up high in the final third, and he's going to take a shot probably before passing it, or he's going to be the guy picked out in the box and taking a shot. So don't expect much of a creator. This isn't a Ruben Semedo. He's going to be more of a target man. It looks like. Moving on to passing and build up. Very clearly, if you're looking in the top section of the chart, he is not a core component in buildup. The majority of his passes, like I already mentioned to you guys before, 5 to 10 meters, 1 to 2 touches going wide or with whatever's in front of him. He does have ability on the ball, though. I don't want you to look at this and say, oh my God, he's garbage. No, the story is different than that. There's a little bit more context. He has ability on the ball. He does rely a lot on his physical traits, which will concern some of you because if he gets injured, those physical traits will reduce. And he does rely on those to evade his opponents, but he has a pretty close touch. It's so the technical ability is there. Volume is low on the ball, but I attribute a lot more of that to what was going on with his team. I believe that at Olympiacos, we will drastically see that per 90 touch volume increase. I think we'll see him probably a little bit more involved on the ball. Again, he has talent. He has a really close first touch, and it's a good first touch. He moves the ball well. His passing in general is actually pretty good. The the context for why you see such low volume here, I think has more to do with team context because the ability looks like it's there. We're going to monitor this though, especially as he's continuing to play. Pass accuracy, you'll notice as well, is not super impressive. It is very low. Part of this is due once again to the form of the team that he was playing on last season. He also has pretty poor accuracy long range. That's why I'm telling you guys not to expect a lot of progressive action moving forward. There's room for improvement, but from what we see right now, this is just not the role I see him filling in. I do believe though, and I brought this up before, that we will see these numbers improve at Olympiacos, especially under Diego Martinez. I believe that if he is with a team with some better structure, more discipline, better movement off the ball, players that present themselves and players that are there to assist him, I do think we'll see more of his distributive ability, at the very least an improvement on that. So again, not for a lack of ability. I do expect to see that we will see better of him. Now, the next topic is going to be the subject that what we're bringing him in for. He's a center back. He's got to have some pretty good defensive characteristics if we're bringing him in. I mentioned to you guys earlier, he is an amazing athlete. He's an animal in our defensive third, offensive third, something that we've talked about with some of the other deep dives, the aggressive mentality, very physical, commanding presence for a 22-year-old, which I found to be surprising. Not shying away from challenges, very solid defender on the ground, and impressive positioning too. Rarely did I see him get caught forward or get caught off position when it came to a defender or a man marker. I did catch him going a little too far wide sometimes, and he was exposed once or twice. Fortunately, in those occasions, I did see his partner, his center back partner, backing him up or able to cover those tracks up. I don't think we will see a lot of this under Diego Martinez because I can't see him being allowed to drift as far wide as I saw in some of these scenarios. So again, something we'll monitor, but I don't think this is going to be an issue coming to Olympiacos. I am disappointed. I brought this up earlier with the goal creation, with his prowess in the air with these aerial duels. He is more consistent on the defensive end, especially in the penalty area. He's a lot more solid, more careful, and wins more duels than he does in the offensive end. I still expect better though for someone that's 6'4". I saw a lot of him not really able to get his head on the ball, and a lot of times there were the ball would kind of get in front of him or between him and the opponent, and he would clear it out real quickly with his foot. I feel like he should do better with his height on those. He is physical and he's pretty good at rounding on opponents and using his body to shield them off. But I just feel that for the solid build, the height that he has, we should see a little bit better in the air. He does throw himself in front of the ball on the defensive end. A lot of block shots here, so he'll give his body for the team. He's incredible personality in that regard. When it comes to reading the play, I didn't see a lot of interceptions from anticipation of the play. I know this may sound a little bit counterintuitive because I just told you guys he has great positioning. So I will elaborate. His positioning when it comes to stationing himself behind a man is very good. He doesn't usually let people get around him. He keeps healthy distance, not too much distance, but enough, and he's quick enough to where I didn't see him getting caught off. His athletic ability is what I see resulting in some of these interceptions, like with reflexes. I'm just not convinced that he anticipates the play that's going to happen. Like with some players, I can tell that they're anticipating and reading the play. I can see movements that they're making before the opponent's playing the ball, as if he knows where they're going. I didn't see that really with this player with Jackson. I saw great reflexes. I see that he can position himself well, but I didn't see that ability for him to read what's going on in front of him. I don't want you guys to take the wrong message from that, that he's gonna be a failure and that he's gonna be a liability for us, because the way that he plays, I do believe that with solid positioning, his ability to follow tactical instruction from Diego Martinez, I don't think this is going to matter, especially if he has the right partner next to him. So, we'll monitor this. It's just not something I really saw in the tape. Well, now that we've evaluated his core characteristics, both in possession and build up, goal creation, and defensively, it's time for the comparison. You guys love these comparison, and today I have a comparison with Usain Ba. While I compared Frere with outgoing veteran Socrates, I thought it was more appropriate to compare Jackson to someone else. And in this case, I decided to compare him to Ba. Last season, Usain Ba was one of our more consistent and capable defenders. When he's not being a moron and drawing needless cards all the time, he's actually a pretty good defender, and he's a great ball handler back there. Actually, one of the better ones that we've had since the departure of Ruben Semedo. So when we look at the two in this radar plot, we see some distinct value propositions. While Usainu Ba is a better ball handler and distributor, we see both of them are quite similar in duel success, ground duels, defensive duels, aerial duels. So they're both pretty good there. Um, we also see that Porozo is a bigger goal threat than Usainu Ba is, but but you can see in some of the other areas, Usainu Ba is just a little bit better when it comes to moving the ball around, whether it's forward, progressing it. Now, looking at this again, these radar plots, as I tell you guys every time, this isn't to tell you, oh, this player is better than this player. No, it's to identify the value propositions of the players that we're bringing in while looking at what we have. So, looking at this comparison, looking where his traits differ from Ba, if we take into account the abilities of guys like Ndoy, Retsos, we see that we kind of have ourselves a pretty nice mix of ball handlers, and now with Frere, who's joined us, pretty good mix of ball handlers, physical defenders, and now goal threats from defense. We've talked about before in the analysis of Diego Martinez, and I brought it up with some of the other scouting reports, that Diego Martinez likes to have diverse skill sets on the team. He's going to approach games differently. He's going to have different shapes for our team, and he's also going to manage the team differently based on the opponents we're playing against. So, having different players with different skill sets is going to be extremely important as we approach different games. So, This is just something for you guys to remember. It's a different skill set compared to some of the guys that are available. Now, with that in consideration, we come to the part with the verdict. We have a player that is coming in on loan with a buyout. We don't know what the buyout is, and I know that there was some vagueness or ambiguity on whether or not this was or was not a loan. The way we treat things when we get information or when we read information, if it doesn't specifically state that there was anything about a transfer fee or a transfer, the way things have been at this club, it's probably safe to expect this is a loan. We still don't know what the buyout option is. If we get more information, we will let you know. That being said, with the comparisons and the data that we've looked at already, this is a very low risk move, in my opinion, with incredible potential, especially if the buyout's cheap. I told you guys that the Freire signing could not be judged entirely until we brought in another center back. Then we could really judge the business at the center back position. And with this signing, I have to say I'm pretty happy with the business that's done. I'm happy with the signing. In addition to the Freire signing, we brought in a veteran to replace a veteran. Retos has looked pretty good in friendlies, and he's a pretty solid distributor of the ball. We know Ba is a pretty good distributor of the ball. Can he keep a level head? We'll see, but he's a pretty good defender when he can keep a level head. Ndoy is a bulldog, also with some ball playing ability. Then we have a young academy guy like Bagaglianis. So young academy guy Bagaglianis. We also have a young guy here in Jackson. Plenty of room for growth, plenty of potential with some experience to balance it. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Jackson break into the starting lineup pretty quickly with some of his traits. He has the mentality that seems to have the mentality, I should say, that Diego Martinez is valuing. So a lot of interesting looks we could see from the center back area here. Now, the question that remains with this signing is what are we going to do with the center backs that we have? We already know that Pape Abusise is most likely moving on. We haven't seen him featured. He was not called into training. He's moving on. With this signing brought in, we've now got Retsos, Frere, Ndoy, Pagaglianis, Usainu Ba. I just repeated that. But we now have quite a few center backs at our disposal. So are we going to stick with this number of center backs, which is a fair amount, or are we going to sell another one? Is Ba going to be move on alongside Cisse? We'll see. We have some wiggle room here. We have plenty of depth going forward. Hopefully, this doesn't result in the further removal of Bagaglianis from the pecking order. But again, we'll monitor and see what happens. But all in all, guys, Gordon's cooking, and I like what I'm smelling. Money's coming in from the moves that are being made. Zinkernagel's gone. Buduzzi's gone with a small fee and a buyout, or sorry, and a sell-on clause that's attached to that. We've got the big fee for Oleg. These fees come in, we could see some bigger moves being made in August. But that being said, this was a pretty good find, a scouting find by Cordon for this player, and I'm happy with the result. So I hope you guys found the scouting report to be informative. I hope that you learned a little bit more about the player than you did. If you weren't excited about the player, maybe I changed your mind. My goal here, of course, is always to change our minds about these players, to give some more insight that you don't get from media in Greece about these players. Any questions, feel free to DM me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Reach out, continue to engage us. We love to talk to you guys. Any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. So, thank you everyone for listening. Those of you that have tuned in, this is Gate 7 International by the fans for the fans, and we'll see you next time.